there's no democracy and dictatorship always on them. So I'm so happy. I'm sorry it's my early morning. I haven't drinking my first tea. I'm ready going to work, but I always like to listen to you guys. And thank you. Let me to speak. And nice meeting you all.
Thank you very much, and alaikum salam and Jama'un accent. I just want to reply quickly. We don't. It's not about us being nice to them. It's about us not compromising our values. Our values, we don't compromise them for anyone. We did not compromise it when we were when we had nothing, and we were bombed to the ground. And we're not going to compromise it today. That we're in a better position. Alhamdulillah. So, being Somalilander and our values are steeped in our religion, our culture and religion are intertwined. So we live those values and we don't compromise them for anyone. So that's what you see on display. The other point regarding the name, I respectfully disagree with the changing of Somaliland name. Somaliland name is older than any other entity that is as a derivative of in the region. So the onus is not us to change our history. The onus is on us to teach our history and to make sure that people know that Somaliland is an Asian civilization. It's been there for over 200 years, and for us to educate the people. The world does not know, but you can see within the past 2-3 weeks, they have learned a lot. So we're not there yet, but inshallah we'll get there. Richard, I apologize, but we're having some technical issues. I'll try to bring you up again. If you can come up the stage, please speak. Don't wait for anybody. Just grab the mic. I guess he left. Let me try.
Abdul, another thing as well, just to add to what you were saying in terms of changing the name. You know what? Somaliland is actually a thorn in their throat, and it's a beautiful sight to see. Somaliland marka quite did that. They start shivering, they start quivering, and they start looking for the burrows that they crawled out of. So in terms of changing the name, obviously there's the historical aspect of it. It's what defines us, it's what actually makes us. But on top of all of that, when you say Somaliland around them, it shows them and they remember. Somaliland waxa weeyaan meeshii dadkii naaray. It feels taken hadda and basically that said enough's enough. Well, so it's, in terms of changing the name, I don't think that should even be a question. But all conversations are welcome as long as it does not compromise us. I don't go for it, Wallah.
I think he's outside. No, definitely, and this is the beauty of Somaliland. We're a democracy. We allow for difference in opinions. We don't attack people for their opinions. As long as we want what's best for our country, we can have different approaches, and that's normal. No, definitely.
Just to come up with. So I'm not trying to change it. I know that the name of the Somaliland has a lot of history. My grandpa and my father was, even my mom was a teacher in Somaliland, and they used to force them to take them to all the way down to Mogadishu in order to teach them. To give you a little history about the reason that the Somalis Somalia hate us is one. They cannot rule or make their own governments without us. That's number one, because when we went up there, they were naked and they did not even have a functioning government out. So that's one, and they still want us to do the things that we did for them before 1960. Because if you remember when Faisal, the Oud leader, was saying that the reason they don't want us to leave is because they can't govern them themselves. That's one. And the second one, the 99.9% the education department of Somalia were Somalilanders. They were no one else. So that is the only one, the two reasons, I should say, that they don't want us and they can't give up because they cannot teach or anything.
Sorry to interrupt, but it's not just the education system. Actually, it was Somalilanders when they went to Somalia. We wrote the constitution for them. We used to run the foreign ministry. We used to run the Ministry of Finance. We used to run the Ministry of Education. So the only reason why Somalia was even able to function between 1960 and 1991, function to some extent, was because Somalilanders were keeping it on life support. And the minute Somalilanders withdrew their support, then clearly you could see Somalia was collapsed in on itself. So I think that's quite an interesting historical perspective.
Thank you, guys. I gotta go work, so I apologize, and I will listen to you guys as much as I can. And nice meeting you, all of you.
Thank you very much, and have a good day. Musa, welcome to the stage. And Dr. Richard, Richard, I've tried to bring you up, but unfortunately you're experiencing technical difficulties. I'm not sure if you can leave the space and come back. I will attempt one more time to bring you up. Musa, the mic is yours.
Yeah, I can't seem to see Musa as well. Right, guys, for everyone that's in the space, can you please share the space to better the connection, inshallah? Just share the space, please, because it seems like I don't know what's going on with it, but at the moment we're sort of struggling to give people the mic.
Yeah, I really want to hear from Richard, because he's been accused of being paid to be Somaliland advocate. so I want to know if Richard is getting paid. Can I get paid too? So again, we're just joking. Nobody's getting paid to defend Somaliland. They're defending the truth and the facts. So Richard, we would love to have you on stage, but we are trying to bring you up. It seems that the quote unquote the faqash are trying to prevent you from coming in. We'll try one more time. Richard, if you can hear us, please go ahead. Okay, I guess you can. All right. Well, it's not meant to be for Richard to join us today. Like I said, this was a short space. Normally, the space happens on the weekend, on a Saturday morning. Okay, go on, Dr. Adeline.
Can you bring him up? Oh, Adeline, you there?
Yeah, I could hear you. Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, maybe if you guys can just mention the whole Red Sea situation, the Houthis, everything else, and South Africa ICJ case as well is very, very interesting. Of course, there's a Somalian judge sitting on the case. He was a beneficiary allegedly of
a genocidal as well.
Genocide. So a lot of conflict of interest there. So yeah, if you can mention some of that, that'd be good.
I briefly skimmed through those news. I've read a little bit of the Houthis, the article about the Houthis. I need to read a little bit more about it. The ICJ I've seen on the news, but I'm not fully informed on that. Richard, can you hear us? Go ahead, Richard.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Yeah, the connection is not helping Richard today. So I'll need to perhaps tomorrow, inshallah, when we all have time, we can deep dive into that. I'll try Richard one more time because I don't know what's going on today. Richard, can you hear us? Yeah. Yeah, I don't think you can hear us. All right, that's not a problem. So yeah, that's fine. Richard, we'll be having a space tomorrow, and we'll love to have you tomorrow. And I'll personally send you an invite because we definitely want to hear from you, and we want to hear about your experience this week and your your introduction to Somali Italiana's Farash crew. Again, we apologize of how you were attacked and smeared. And inshallah, when you come to Somaliland, we'll definitely give you a warm welcome, and to help say thank you for all of the amazing work you do to advocate for us. And no, Richard is not being paid. No Somaliland advocates being paid, unlike the Somali Italiana's paid trolls, where everyone is doing this out of their own initiative and out of their initiative to support justice and equality. Ahmed, sorry, I overlooked you. Go ahead.
Assalamu alaikum. Are you guys able to hear me okay?
Yeah, we can hear you. Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, great. Yeah, thank you so much for allowing me to speak. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. I actually was listening to the discussion in regards to not wavering in terms of our identity, our history, and someone mentioned potentially changing our name. And I remember it just brought back a memory where maybe a year, 2 years ago, there was some activity within Somaliland that gave us the hope that there would be some upcoming recognition of Somaliland. And I came on the stage and I said, that we should potentially have another vote within Somaliland to see if the population would be interested or would declare that they are willing to essentially, redeclare their independence. Or I think we call it Aftin al Kale or something like that. And I believe I was laughed out of the room. I was upset, and then I thought about it and I realized, what? waxaad ku hadlaysaa afkii shisheeye kalkal waxaad dad aan ku doonaynin baad u hilinaysaa marka in the sense that you have to always move forward marka dee ma garanaysaa waan aqbalay inaan khalday marka I actually learned from that experience myself. Marka it's really important that we don't waver. We always move forward as Somalilanders, and we push forward, right? We could have internal disagreements within our country. Every country has that. Ethiopia has internal issues, but on a national level, everyone is essentially moving in the same direction, and everyone wants good for Somaliland, or for Ethiopia. And whoever doesn't want good for Ethiopia is technically considered to be a traitor, and that's how we should also essentially treat people within our nation who do not put Somaliland first. And I also remembered something in the past. I worked with a group of Macedonians, and Macedonia is one of the countries that became independent due to the breakup of Yugoslavia. They, in fact, were not even, for the most part of the civil war. They joke with me that that not even a bullet was heard within their cities and country, whereas there was massacres in Bosnia and Croatia and other areas that really suffered to gain their independence. So they were able to kind of break up and basically get independence due to the breakup of Yugoslavia. One of the things that happened to Macedonia is that when they became independent, they declared their country name as Macedonia. Very quickly, nationalists within the neighboring Greece that has a shared history with Macedonia immediately went to the UN, to all of the intergovernmental bodies, and declared that the name of Macedonia is illegal for this country, for this new country, and stated that the name of Macedonia belongs to them and it's part of their history. And essentially blocked this new country of Macedonia from even thinking about joining the EU, from joining even other UN bodies, because they declared that they could not join under the name of Macedonia. They were protecting their history, their identity as Greeks, and there's still a province to this day that is within, I believe, Greece that is called Macedonia. And as a result, they said that you're not allowed to use that name, that history, and that name belongs to us. So after, I initially heard of this from my colleagues who were complaining and yelling about, well, what's happening to their country and how they're, how the bully Greece is bullying them. So I initially was sympathetic to them, and after I kind of looked into it and I read into it and I kind of like researched it, I realized, like Greece does have a right to kind of assert its right to be able to have control over its history and its identity, even within the UN and any sort of international bodies. So the end result is that Macedonia was forced to legally change their name to North Macedonia, and the name of Macedonia was essentially kept as part of Greece. Of course, none of my colleagues at work were happy. They were all yelling and screaming about that. But what's right is right. The name Macedonia belonged to Greece long before the Macedonians thought it was their name, and as a result, the Greeks were able to get their due justice over time. But it took many years of wrangling and arguments and legal and legal back and forth, between the two bodies. The other thing that happened right after was the Bulgarians, which is another country, right by Macedonia, then realized that the language that the Macedonians use is, except for just a few extra words here and there, is essentially identical to the Bulgarian language. So they also had a qualm about, the theft of their language and the renaming of it as what the Macedonians call a Macedonian language. And I again heard that from my colleagues, and they were, after like a couple of years, they had that new issue with Bulgaria, and that issue is still ongoing, and it's unknown what the resolution will be. But it kind of taught me that that a nation should not give up its what is actually its own. Right. So if for example, if Somalia has a history of having multiple languages, and historically the last language that developed in what is called Somalia Italia is the Somali language, then the source and the origin of the Somali language belongs to where it actually originated, which is Somaliland. The other thing is the name Somalia. Where does it come from? We have to look back, not just in the last 150 years when the Europeans came, but hundreds of years before that. And if you look at the history, you'll find that the original travelers, that came to this region, yes, there is a time that the Greeks came to our region and they called the Berbera region, surrounding area, names such as Microbia and so on. But the more recent names, which is the name that we kind of identify ourselves with, is the name of Ardu Somal, and this is on legal maps that exist from I believe a period of about 1,000 years ago. And there's also another name that was used also, which is Daru Somal. One is the land of the Somal, so the Somali people, their land, and also the other one is the Daru Somal. So for example, Ethiopia was called Darul Habasha, right? The land of the Habasha, right? And our land was called the Daru Somal.